Welcome back, everybody, to Thanks for Your Concern. You're here with Berenice.
And I'm Ella. Welcome back to another fabulous week. I'm excited for this week's episode, but before we get into it, Berenice, what's good?
You know, it's something really special is happening this week. It's my birthday. And I'm no longer going to be... Yes. I'm no longer going to be a 26-year-old. I'm going to be a 27-year-old. Now, with that said, I don't really know what the big difference is other than every time, like, my birthday is about to come around, I think of, like, where I was last year, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to lie, City Girls were down last year, like, down to the flow, and all the behaviors that went with it, you know? And that's okay because now I look at myself and I'm like, damn, I'm thriving. You know what I mean?
We love it. We love a low data point just to make the next one like you're like, I am just improved.
No, I completely I don't know. There's something about this time of year. Like, I don't know if it's the retrogrades for the spiritual girlies or the eclipses or just the fact that like a lot of things like end after the summer. A lot of the girlies are down bad. There's a lot of people in some transitional phases of their lives. I fully surrendered, bro. Like, this weekend, I was literally like, universe, take the wheel. Like, I am done fighting. I'm gonna hee ha ha. I am not even starting any new projects until I turn 27. I'm like, I'm just gonna chill for the last week of my 26, have a good time, sleep 8 hours a day, work on my skincare, maybe read a book. I've been drawing again. You know, like...
Yes.
Yeah, like even my friend was like, "Oh, you're gonna have a theme. Last year was witches. This year is vampires." For my outfit, and she's like, "Are you gonna make anything?" And I was like, "No, I'm gonna go shopping." Like I'm not even stressed about it. Like I'll find something to wear. I know it's gonna be good. Like I don't know. I am gonna enjoy. I'm gonna live in the present, and you know, my only birthday wish. Well, I'll put up a little wish list in case you can't get me anything. But no, but like really, my only birthday wish is that, you know, I just want a day of bliss, a day of ignorance, a day of other people figuring it out. If somebody's upset, you have a problem with me? No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have a problem with me until after I turn 27. If you have an issue in your life, you really got to get out, I will talk to you when I'm 27. If you, anything, I just want other people to be, you know, the best versions of themselves and allow me to be the most mindless baby. I want to be a baby. I want to be taken care of. I want to literally shut off my brain. And usually it only happens with a man, or when I'm dating somebody and I can shut off my brain. But I want to do this on my birthday. I just want to literally walk around brainless.
I love it. No problem solving because there are no problems.
There's no problems. There's no problem. You got drama? Take it off with next week, Bernice.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
I'm happy to hear that you're relaxing. You know, I'm just taking a little breather.
No, literally, when my friend was like, "Oh, you're not not sleeping, manic," and I was like, "No."
You know, it's crazy. That's basically my update. I just kind of had a reminder that sometimes you got to go back to the basics, okay?
Yeah.
And the basics are sleeping and eating. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I just kind of get lost in planning and doing. Yeah. That I kind of, and the thing is it's so basic, I think we forget it. And then I also think it's something that we don't work on, you know? Because you're like, I'm 100%. An adult person. I work. I have all these things going on. I don't need to reflect on my sleeping and eating and journaling. I'm back to the journal.
Hell
and I think I'm just doing quick bullet points, all right? What went well today? What could have been improved? And what I want to, do different tomorrow, you know? And then you start seeing little patterns and you're like, you know what? I'm consistently saying I'm fucking tired. So I need to get my ass in bed earlier. And I need to, also I'm just really trying to give myself enough time. I think I just have this idea that I can do my skincare routine, put my life together and like be asleep in like 5 minutes, but it's just not physically possible. So I'm giving myself more time and allowing myself to fucking wind down. And so here's your like little reminder that maybe you need to go back to the basics if you're feeling a little down. And the basics are a great place to start while we're hitting this seasonal depression, baby.
100%. And, you know, I like you brought up journaling. Journaling is amazing, not just as a tool to get things out, but as a tool to go back and, like, read those journal entries from, like, even years prior. Like, I was going through my sketchbook where I often journal, and I read an entry from when I had COVID, like, in 2021, before I moved to New York. And reading that honestly gave me so much perspective. Like, my whole thing was, like, I want to be the person that, like, moves to New York and, like, is independent and, like, you know, like, goes after what she wants. But literally, I, like, just wrote down all my fears, and I was like, I become so codependent in my relationship. Like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm going to do it. And I literally, as I was reading that, like, being in New York over 2 years, I was like, bitch,
oh my God, I'm, like, getting, like, tears.
You just did it. So those are awesome kind of to go back to see what place you were. It gives you perspective of how far you've come. So, you know, if you're in a rough spot, get that notebook out. Go get yourself a cute notebook. Like something that you just, like, you look at it and it brings you joy. And start fucking...
This current journal, I have about, like, less than a quarter left, right? And it's all been over the past 6 months. It's been a long 6 months, and I was, like, reading, like, this, you know, like, 6 months ago, but, like, on the day, and I was reading that entry, and I was like, oof, wow, a lot can change in 6 months, and I think that's kind of, like, I've been trying to, like, just, I don't know, be a little bit clear-headed about where I want to be in the future, and then also, like, how I'm spending my energy, and just, like, put a little bit more towards my passion and a little less towards social media or shit that doesn't matter. And I was like, wow, so much has changed in 6 months. Let's see what the next 6 months can bring. It kind of, like, can give you hope for the future, even if you don't have, like, a plan. I don't know if that makes sense. You know, it gives you hope.
It does. And you got this, all right?
Everyone's got it.
You got this. If you're grieving, like, somebody that you met this summer, go look at the pictures of you in spring. You were without this person. Go look at that bitch. Remind yourself, you're totally fine.
We'll always be fine.
This is temporary. Flush it out of your system, maybe. Flush it out.
You know, I this is kind of a toxic thing, but sometimes I stalk boys that I had crushes on in, like, middle school. And I was like, oh my God, remember when you used to trip about that guy? Like... You know, so it's like then you apply that same logic to the guy you're currently tripping about. You're like, I'm going to feel so silly about tripping over this dude for so long. Like, it's not even, what? Like, if you think 10 years from now you're still going to be tripping about a situation, like, use the 10-year rule. If 10 years in the future you think this is still going to be really important and you need to spend a massive time wallowing over this, continue to wallow. But I feel like, you know, in 10 years you're gonna be like, oh my God, this is so dumb, this had nothing to do with anything, like, this is so insignificant, so let's move on quicker.
Insignificant is the key. Last week I, like, Ella brought up, like, my ex situationship, like, my college one. I had definitely forgot about that man, okay? And it got me thinking. And I was like, oh my God, I had, like, blacked out so many parts of that situationship, like the time where I was picking up something in his room and we had just hooked up and his ex-girlfriend was there and he was just, like, in a towel. And then we went to a festival and he was dancing with her but looking at me. And I think, and I'm like, that man has done me probably the dirtiest I've ever allowed somebody to do me. So sometimes when I'm, like, tripping about something in the present, I'm like, baby girl, you were already done the extra dirty, and you got through it just fine. You come out on top from that situation, so, like, really, this is nothing. This is like, poof, poof, walk in the park, like, take a little stumble, we're back.
Yeah, literally, this is
nothing.
Nothing. I got it.
We got it. It's fine. We're good.
Oh my God. Well, I love that. I love such a little, we didn't even plan that. I feel so hyped, so inspired. So like,
thank you.
I'm excited for you, baby. 27's your year.
27 is going to be my year. Today we're talking about something that I've come across in my 27 years of age, which is a new epidemic. Some people are calling it an apocalypse. It's the Sassy Man Apocalypse, epidemic, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. It's here, and we're going to chat. So shall we get to it?
Let's do it. Sassy Men Apocalypse. This is like, I think this is like kind of a newer trend, but it's popping up everywhere.
I don't know if it's popping up everywhere, but I'm just like meeting more men that are like a little bit more on the sassy end. And there's a line between like, I would say sometimes it's like a little feminine, sometimes it's a little aggressive, and then sometimes it's manipulation and abuse. Okay? So there's like different levels of this like quote unquote sass we're seeing I've been experiencing.
I feel like the self-proclaimed like sassy man influencer that I'm actually quite a fan of, his name is Prayag, and he's like at 444 Prog. Have you seen his?
No. You're gonna have to check
it out. Funny fun. And he describes it as showing his emotions and not putting up a front. So that's it. Yeah. So I think there's a good and a bad side to this. I feel like the more positive side is like men showing their emotions, you know?
Yeah. I agree. I'm not gonna lie, I love me a sassy man. There's something about it that like takes me aback. I'm like, what? Like
oh my god, he just came for my throat. Like
calm down. I kind of liked it, but like calm down. Yeah, I agree. I hadn't had this experience with somebody until like very recently, where I was like kind of sassy, and he asked his mom, but he also happened to be a mama's boy. And then I thought about my ex-boyfriend, and he was also sassy. He was also a mama's boy. And then I thought about my sister's ex-boyfriend, but he was just a Cancer.
Yes.
All those things I feel like have a trend, a pattern going.
I think that's probably like, yeah, there is a little bit of a pattern. I feel like someone in social, like someone that I saw. Have you seen the Barbie movie yet?
No, but we can talk about it.
Okay, well, Ken is kind of like he's sassy. He has a lot of quick little sasses to Barbie. He's got that sassy man energy where he's kind of telling, and then he basically, he tries to like just take over. He takes the sassiness and he just turns it up a notch. And when he finds out about patriarchy, he kind of goes a little cray-cray. And he has a really cool, like, obviously it's a Barbie movie, but I do really like Ken's like story arc. But it kind of ends with like I'm just Ken. And have you seen the latest SNL Pete Davidson?
Yeah.
He just did I'm Just Pete. And I think that's kind of sassy man energy too.
I get that. I agree. I think like in the purest form, being sassy and like a little more like willing to show when something bothers you, I stand that. Do that. Sometimes it's just the way it carries over. Like it depends on what stages. Like when you first meet a man and he's sassy, he might be like, you can text me. And I'm like, sir, you want to be pursued. And I'm down to do that because like I don't mind shooting my shot. However, I'm gonna need you to show your worth, baby, because I'm not about to pursue a bum. Like, I'm sorry, like if you got nothing going on for yourself, you gotta check yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna pursue you. Okay, then for why? For why am I pursuing you? What have you shown me your qualities? Like, if it was like the hottest dude I've ever seen, has a job, has stability, emotional intelligence, I'm there, baby. You're a little bit sassy, whatever. Like, I love it. But, like, if you're sassy and you're, like, honestly kind of rude and, like, you have no job and, like, it's giving bum, I'm not going to pursue you. The fuck? Like, calm down. Attitude.
Well, we don't have time to pursue unless it's, like, I don't have time for that. It's got to be something extra super special. Some, like, unicorn type shit. So, yeah.
I'm just really staying in my feminine energy. As I told you, I've just like decided to surrender. So the whole me pursuing you situation might not work out. Like, me and a sassy man may not be meant to be right now. And that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? Now, they're all sassy at the end of the day. Even if they're like not at first, men are sassy in there.
I think that's what we're seeing now. I think it's like I feel like hypermasculinity and like stoic, like stone face, not showing any emotion behavior is on its way out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like people are realizing that we want more emotion. So I don't even feel like people are being more sassy. It's just like they're letting their inside voice come out.
All right, I'm here for it. I'm here for personality.
Yeah.
I can take it. No, I'm gonna get my feelings hurt. I just know. I would take it way too seriously. I'm sensitive. Just like,
well,
be gentle.
I think this is for, it's like everything where it's just like no matter if you're like how you present your gender, like, sassy can go a little too far and then you're just being mean.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, same thing with like, I think other traits, like you can be like almost too confident to where you're cocky. I don't even really believe in that shit, but I'm just saying that's like the same thing, where you can go too one way or like not the other. But I like a little sass.
Okay. Here are some things I think are sassy. Mirror selfies. I think mirror selfies are from a man are pretty sassy. Like,
in general, or to be sent them?
In general. Like, if he's putting them on his stories, like, and it's not like, I don't know. Like, I just think they're sassy. Like, there's something, like, sassy about them. But I love a thirst trap. Like, this is the thing. I'm not making fun of it. Like, I like it.
I like it, too.
Yeah, my friends be posting, like, and I'm like, that's it. I always compliment the boys, okay? I'm always like, you're looking great. It's a great thirst trap. I hope the girls are sliding into your DMs or at least, hearting, using their little finger to tap that little like button.
I agree. I feel like I'm such a big, like, I'm like a friend stan where I'm like, yay, we love that. We love that for you. Thirst more. We love it. Love to see it.
That's
Get extra thirsty.
A man is getting ready for a relationship. If he's posting consistent thirst traps, like, that man's on the hunt.
Yeah. He's putting out into the world to receive
something.
Something. Yeah.
Someone, something.
I know, that's why sometimes when people are like, oh my god, like, I could never DM them. And I'm like, bro, look at their feed. Those DMs are open, Yeah. I'm like, go for it, girl. Don't crush from afar. Yeah. If
they're sassy to you, you can just block them, okay? If they hurt your feelings, you can block them and forget about it.
But people love compliments, so...
They do. For the most part, I would say every time I've complimented a man, it's never gone, like, south. I don't think so.
No. I don't think so. No.
I don't think so either.
See, the thing is you just gotta get enough data points to the point where, like, you don't even remember when it didn't work out because you've tried it so many times and it has worked out. It's like, excuse the fucking... I'm telling everybody. I've told people like a bajillion million times. I was trying to think of who story said they hit each other up on Instagram recently. It was a celebrity, but they got married. And it was all off of like an Instagram DM. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. Me, I'm about to go rampage and out.
You're like, this is the sign.
At least one person's going to reply, you know what I mean? Like, those are like odds. At least one person's going to find me attractive.
You're like in a celebrity, you're like in the perfect place for like a D-list celebrity. Like, you would be surprised. You think, oh my god, these people get hit up every day. Not as much as you would think.
Yeah.
So
something to think about. Something to think about. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. So when it comes to sassy, we're kind of talking about like this sassy versus manipulative. I've encountered some levels of this where men are sassy, but the way that they say things, sometimes like they own that energy where I'm just like, I just kind of say what's on my mind, but there's like a hidden message behind it. You know what I mean? Like, per se. Sometimes people get really defensive All right. And sometimes when they get really defensive and they project some things and then they try to turn it on to you, like, oh, I just want to let you know that this is your fault, that you're feeling this way and I'm not validating it. That isn't sassy or them like being defensive. That is manipulation. There's a difference.
Another thing this is kind of like related to is we talked about how some people shouldn't get therapy because they can like use it as like a manipulation tool. I think sometimes it's like you can get someone is like being extra sassy, using all the right terminology, not knowing that they're actually being kind of a shithead, you know? And I think it's really hard to decipher. I really feel like some people really need to like I don't know. I sometimes think that if you don't like if something about the way someone's talking to you kind of makes you feel icky, you should probably sit down and figure out like, who do they remind you of, you know? Like, is it a villain in a movie? Is it your dad you don't have a great relationship with? Like, who is it, you know? Because I think you should listen to that part that's like, I don't think I like that. Like, they didn't do anything wrong per se, but there's something about this that I don't like. The way that it made me feel. Yeah, I don't like the way this made me feel.
If the way they're making you feel is like, if they belittle you, if they're talking down to you, if they're trying to basically get to you to say like you ain't shit, like that's like abusive behavior. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I had a friend recently. She like met up with a man in like a different country, and he was low-key like really mean to me, talking to me like I was entitled, like saying like you're not gonna get away with like these types of things like with me, but like in the same way, just like kind of talking down to her. And she came back from that experience and she was like, I don't know, like for 2 days I just felt like hurt. And I think it's like when people aren't treating you like you're an equal human being, or they're minimizing your experience or invalidating your feelings, this can be, I don't know, maybe you're in like a situationship and they're like, why are you tripping? We've only hung out a few times. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's invalidating your feelings. It's like trying to make you kind of feel like you're crazy, like the gaslighting is there. Yeah. And the thing is, like, once you recognize it, like, it's really easy to tell it in different situations.
I think sometimes, like, especially when you're dealing with manipulative people, like, you don't feel confident in your own feelings, and you should, like, share it with a friend. And if you don't feel good about sharing it with a friend, like you're like, oh, I don't want to tell them that, then that's like another red flag that you can kind of use to signal, you know, if you're afraid to tell a friend something. I think it has to be a Sabrina Carpenter song where she talks about that, and I was like, dang, that like really resonates with me in like a past relationship where it's like, yeah, like you're keeping secrets from your friends and you're a fucking therapist and stuff. It's like, if you feel like you need to talk to a therapist, and if even just the idea of talking to a therapist, and if you can't, like if that idea seems like, oh, I don't want to say that, then there's another huge red flag.
No one's relationship is perfect. If your friend is telling you that her boyfriend is the best person ever, everything's amazing all the fucking time, she's lying. She's lying. Like,
or she doesn't know yet. I think that's another one where they're maybe not. They're still a delulu. Like.
I mean, there are bad people out there. Like, I will say, like, last year when, like, low-key I was getting lied to, he was treating me well enough for me to, like, tell my friends, like, oh, this is, like, nice. Yeah. But at the same time, I'd be like, I'm sketched out. Like, something just doesn't feel completely right. Because like when I talk about it, sometimes like my sister's like, you knew from the beginning, like you felt like something was up from the beginning, and it's just like your intuition ended up leading you down the road. You just didn't have facts, you know? Yeah. So I think it's important to trust your intuition. Sometimes you do have to question yourself. Something that is interesting that also manipulative people do is kind of like throw the things that you're doing in your face. So I remember when I was experiencing kind of like doubt and being like, where is this feeling coming from? I was like, oh, maybe I'm just like anxiously attached and blah, blah, blah. And while I do have those things I need to work on, me communicating like, hey, I am kind of working on these things on myself because this man went to therapy. Okay. Yeah. So this is how you weaponize therapy. Later, I felt like he kind of used that to his advantage, to be like, oh no, this is actually, there has been no change in my behavior. It's kind of like I'm making it up, but I wasn't. So just be mindful that sometimes your intuition is probably right. Like, although we have issues, if you recognize that you have a pattern of something, once you recognize it and you're able to pinpoint it, and if it keeps festering, it's usually your intuition saying, this is not that. Baby, get not that.
Yeah.
And that is proven to be true every single time.
I would like to say that if you try to like squash the like if you communicate with somebody like about an intuition or just a feeling and you leave like an open-ended like, I don't know, if you leave it open-ended for them to answer, you can almost always tell, like, I feel like they like either double down, they get really defensive, and then you're like, oh, okay, there's something there. Or you have like a reasonable conversation, and I'm not saying that you should completely like believe what they're saying, but like one way to check your intuition is to check in with that person.
Very true, very true. I think with like the sassy versus abusive, it's also the way that they talk to you. Like, you can be sassy and have little remarks, but they're usually harmless. And then there's like upright, like using any sort of like words, harsh words, and you know what those are to you. People have them differently. Some people use bitch with their partner. That baffles me. I've never been that person. If I remember my ex-boyfriend one time called like one of my friends a bitch, like in a joking way, and I was like, don't you ever call a woman that. Like, that is for the girls and the girls only. You know what I mean? Like, at least for me. And I think like you can voice those boundaries, and if they ever do that again, then they just crossed over your boundary, and then you know, like 100% what they meant with that word being used.
Yeah, and also it's like if you tell someone like hey, I think you meant this in a joking way, but it did hurt my feelings, that person's probably going to be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Won't happen again, if they, care. Versus someone that doesn't will continue, and that's another way. Yeah. It's if you're like, I didn't like that. That hurt my feelings.
Very, very true.
The one, I read an op-ed from the Harvard Crimson, the Sassy Men Apocalypse by Kalisha M. Williams. And I thought it was interesting. It was an interesting little op-ed. So I would go check that out. So a little shout out to a student writer. We love that for her, for them.
If you got a sassy man in your life, I know people are exposing them, which, I think you should. Sometimes they get a little snappy.
Nothing like breaks my heart when I see a video that someone posted thinking they're going to get like a laughy reaction from people. And then it ends up them being the reactions like, get out. That always like hurts my heart for that person, because they're like, it's funny. And I'm like, oh my God, no, it's not. Like, that's not funny. Like, I hate when people prank their partners in like the most like grotesque way, and it's like, that's not funny. That's not humor. What is the punchline? Yeah. I know. Sassy men are not for the weak, but like also they're not for you to confuse that with toxic behaviors. Exactly.
Don't let them hide their toxicity in the fact that they may be a sassy little bitch, okay?
Yeah.
But as always, have fun with it. Call them out. I love calling men sassy, because I don't think they really get called that. Or sometimes I just go,
yeah.
Like, damn.
It's like, wow, you're on the sassy vibe.
Yeah, and then they're like,
what?
Throw them off. Keep them on their toes. Send it straight back. But I like it, so I don't know.
All right, everybody. Send us your Sassy Men encounters on our Instagram. You can make sure to send those and follow us on social media. We're everywhere at thanks4your concern. And I'm at Berenice DSM. And I'm at Ella L. Tudor. Like every week, we ask you to subscribe to our podcast, as well as to our YouTube channel, as well as tell a friend and leave a review. That helps us out a whole lot. We will see you here next week. Bye.
Bye.